So in a previous video, we talked about web content accessibility guidelines, or what's called WCAG. These are guidelines that are intended to help web developers create a website that is more accessible for more people. If you recall, one of the WCAG guidelines was around perceivability. Today, we're going to talk about one tactic you can use to make your website more accessible that fits under this particular guideline. It's called alternative text. The idea here is that there's certain images when you put on a website that you can't just put them there without in some way also describing what's in them. Why would you do this? Let's imagine you have somebody who's blind, who is navigating your website with what's called a screen reader, which basically reads to the person using the screen reader what's on the website. If you haven't described your image with alternative text, then the screen reader doesn't know how to describe that image to the person who's using it. The World Wide Web Consortium tells us about the different kinds of images we might find on the web, and it allows us to think about which ones actually require alternative text. You'll see that there are a number listed here. I'm just going to talk about a few of them: informative, decorative, functional, images of text, and complex images. Let's say I wrote some sort of reflection about my childhood, and I included this image right here on my website. It's an image of me when I'm like maybe 3 or 4 fishing. This could provide very important context about the reflection I'm writing about for my childhood. And so this is an image that one might describe as an informative image, and it's an image for which I should provide some alternative text. Most of the images that you include on your website for this course are probably going to be informative because they should be pictures of artifacts that are directly connected to the reflections that you're writing. But you may have a few other images to keep in mind. Decorative images just make your website pretty. They don't really provide any information. They don't need alternative text. Functional images you're not likely to have on this site, but it's usually something like a button or a search box. Images of text generally are things that you might have. For instance, I've had some students who have posted images of code that they've written in a computer science class. In that case, you probably want to provide some alternative text that explains what's in the image as well as maybe translates a little bit of the text. And complex images like graphs and diagrams might be something that you include as well. And if you have those, they require much more in terms of alternative text because they're so difficult to describe. Associating alternative text with an image is really easy in WordPress. Just go to your media library and click on any image there, and you will see that there is a spot for alternative text. There's another way that you can add alternative text to an image. Here, I'm inside a particular page of my website. If I scroll down, you'll see that there's an image. This comes from a student. This is an example of a reflection that he wrote. And here's the artifact that he included with the reflection. It is a picture of the notes he took prior to a football game for which he was the captain. And you can see as I clicked on that photo, this sidebar on the right appeared where, again, it says alternative text, and you can write whatever text you want. You can see here that I wrote picture of game notes with students' own notes as well. In this way, I've given someone who can't see the image a sense of what's there. And since it's directly tied to what the student is writing about in this reflection, it's really important that I provide this alternative text. Remember, only you can decide what each image really means for your website and whether it requires alternative text. Also, alternative text for images is not just for people with screen readers. It can also be really helpful for people with slow internet connections, and it can help you make your website more visible in search engine results.